Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. Alongside me is RDV from the Great Midwest. I'm here located in Central Florida during the rainstorms, just west of Orlando, Florida, in the Pine Hills Palace. We've got a Bruce Willis movie, if we can call it that, that's got cocaine, some cocaine cowboys, some milfs, maybe potentially some gilfs. It's just one of those Bruce Willis specials that is going to define the twilight of his career. And RDV, Out of Death. Man, I don't know what to say about this movie because technically speaking, this movie where Bruce Willis plays the aging retired cop whose wife recently died, befriends a young woman who gets caught in this scam in a small town, whatever, with drug people, and it's pretty standard action, or I should say thriller fare, because it's really more of a thriller. But it's not great. It's not bad. It's just sort of there.
I thought it was pretty good for what it was. I know it's low budget. Yes, it's kind of dumb, and stuff, but it worked for me. It held my attention, which rarely happens if films come out these days, because a lot of them are just the same plots over and over again. This felt, like I said, this wasn't your big screen, your movie theater, and it didn't need to be. With the budget it had, I thought it did really well. And the fact, Bruce Willis is not the main star in this, so he was just basically the supporting character. The real star, yeah. So I'm not really too put off by his acting in this, because why he has little screen time, because it was all about the woman. She's the one, Jamie King, who know her from Black Summer season 2 and season 1. She did actually, I thought she did an actual phenomenal job in this, considering what I've seen her done before. Especially in Black Summer season 2, which sucked. But yeah, she plays a hiker. She comes across, she's hiking. She's gonna basically just get rid of her dad's ashes. Her dad died. She's cremated. She's gonna, take his ashes to their spot, and she ends up witnessing a cop, played by Layla Kent, with this other guy.
Smoke Show.
Yeah.
Layla Kent. Yeah. We'll talk about her in a moment.
Yeah, and she witnesses, basically the guy, it's. The cops are dirty right away. This woman, just female cop, she's dirty. She's got these drug guy running her, who basically is an ex-con. You find out later it's her boyfriend, that he's been running drugs for them, selling it for them. They poach drugs, he sells it for them, and the cops make money off of this. Though you find out basically the whole entire corrupt police force is pretty corrupt like this. It's basically run by two brothers. The older brother, he's running for he's the sheriff. He's running for election to be the mayor. And this is his side gig going on, and he's in basically the hiker, Jamie King. She spots it. She sees the cop kill the guy. After he basically they're in the truck. The guy that's the guy's truck. He runs. She shoots him in the head. You get it. And she drops the camera, and the cops are pretty much she's a witness. A
material witness.
Yeah.
With video evidence.
Yeah.
She's not a photographer.
No, not really.
According to her,
photojournalist.
She captures images.
Yeah, she's a photojournalist. You find out at the very end. That's what she does for a living. But but it was kind of funny that she did drop the camera. I was like, okay, but and you can see how on top of the cops are, because where she dropped the camera wasn't too far where the female cops saw her. So if they would have just cased the ground, they would have found the evidence right there too. But yeah, it's basically got these two bumbling. The brother who works for he's an idiot brother who works for his other brother, who's the brains of the outfit, and then they got the girl that the brother likes. She got the job because the other guy, the idiot brother, and they're basically trying to capture this hitchhiker who is a material witness, and they're in I forgot where it's supposed to take place, but it's in the woods somewhere. And there's marsh
outside Philadelphia, somewhere in a small town.
Yeah, and for what it was, yeah, it is a thriller. It's just and she's trying to basically get away, and here comes Bruce Willis, who's got a small part in here. He's a retired cop. He's there to stay in the cabin there for a week. We find out later that his daughter, who actually is a dispatch worker who works with all these people, but she's only been there for a year. She doesn't know anything about this. So she comes into play later, but Bruce Willis, who went out for a hike, is after and his daughter basically tells me, hey, leave your phone here, because you're not going to get a cell phone service anyway. But she's like, but take your gun with you because there are bears,
Mm-hmm.
So like, if Billy has his gun on her, he ends up actually rescuing her because she's about to get executed by these two, Rocky and Bullwinkle cops. Yeah, like I said, his acting. Most people said no, they don't like his acting. I don't see his acting being any different than when he's done it in the other ones. I think it comes down to the writing. I mean, that's what
This
it
would have
is.
been a decent TV movie
Yeah,
or show or something. But the problem is with Bruce Willis, we've gotten accustomed over the past 20 years of dialing in for a paycheck. And if this movie is budget for say $5 million, then he probably made a $3 million salary. Seriously, because this thing it's low budget. It's done well enough. But I was reading some articles about it, going, how much? I was trying to figure out his salary on this because Bruce Willis is notorious for asking for big salaries and a cut on the back end. And DVD movies like Seagal's been doing since the mid 2000s, even JCVD to a certain point. And while we love those guys, kind of, sort of, at least some of us love some of them. They're very lucrative and they make a lot of money with video on demand and, of course, the European market. And then here I'm looking at this movie. I had to confirm it on 2 different sites. Maybe it's from the same source. But did you know that with COVID, when this was filmed, because of all the rules in place with unions and things getting halted, Bruce Willis shot every single scene he was in this movie in 1 day.
I mean, if you have the time,
It looks like it now that I see that, because it's not bad.
Well,
he wears the same outfit the entire thing. It's not like he has a wardrobe change.
I kept thinking about this. This movie. If this would have been in 20 years ago, it was been more of an action than thriller. It basically would have been like your the Jean-Claude Van movie, where he's being on the hunt. The guys are chasing after him. He's a cop.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was called Maximum Risk. I'm not sure, yeah, this would have been. I'm kind of glad, because for what his age, Bruce Willis does not do that many physical stuff in here. He really doesn't all. He just has a gun, which it works well. If he would have started doing running and all that stuff, and just then it would have been just really unbelievable, because he's up there. He's probably in his mid 60s. I'd say 65, 64. I'm not sure. He could be even older. He could be 67. But like I said, it works out well because it was more focused on the girl than it was on him and who she can trust, and to me, it made it more believable. The cops, though, because if this is a small town cop, place, I don't know this. I mean, this is always a cliche thing with all horror movies too. They're the cops, either they're corrupt or they're just bumbling idiots, and here we get both. So this felt like a Lifetime movie almost a little bit in the cheese like that, but for me, it actually worked out well for me because the only problem I really had with this was the main boss, the guy who plays Hank, and Michael Sorrow. He just didn't look like a bad guy. He just looked like a dweeb.
However, he's the only one in this film that had any bit of charisma.
I would have rather seen someone else like Al Pacino or something in this playing the bad guy, in this, because then it would have been perfect to cast, having a guy who actually knows, been around, experienced. This guy just seemed like he's fresh out of college, and just, he didn't come up and give me what's his name, Matt Dillon or Kevin Dillon, one of those guys, This guy, it doesn't come off he comes more like the guy. He's just
he's a bit pretty. And he's a bit young, so he doesn't have that authoritative type thing. He's got that Southern boy kind of thing going on in this film.
He more comes off to me like the college guy, the guy who's going to prey on women. That's his kind of role he'd be cast for, No offense to the guy, I mean, he wasn't a bad actor. It's just that it didn't seem like, he was I'm the boss. I'm his brother didn't seem that too stupid, compared to him. He just felt kind of weird.
Well, the town sheriff, he was in the Nick Cage movie that we covered, Primal. I think he was one of the lead bad guys in there, so I thought he did okay on that. The dumb cops, the guy and the girl, wow. I mean, they look like bumbling idiot cops. They're horrible. I mean, it's just... Let's talk about the female cop. She's played by Layla Kent, who... I don't know of her too much. I recognize some of the stuff she's been in, but I haven't seen it.
She's in a lot of his Bruce Willis movies.
She's way too out to be a cop, but she plays it like white trash. She happens to be the fiance or wife of the guy that produced this and is basically like the empire of all these guys. Even Stallone's done, I think, a few films with him, JCVD Seagal. And this guy literally has got the right. He's the Uwe Boll of America in a sense, because Boll always took really properties that, like, from video games so they could get cheap, got a lot of tax credits, and like Kirplakistan, Bulgaristan, those kind of places that will say, okay, we'll give you money just to do it here, and they get all these write-offs, and they don't have to go by union rules, and they can shoot it really quick. And here's what I'll say. I agree with you. The movie's watchable. It's not very good, but it's done technically well enough. And we've seen worse stuff on the big screen. I have not seen Space Jam 2 yet and never will, but I'm sure it will suck and suck hard like everyone's claiming it is, even though it's supposedly the #1 film. That doesn't really say anything. It's all context. So to me, which film would I rather watch, Space Jam 2 or this? I would rather watch this. Here's the thing. With aging superstars, and let's face it, at 65, wherever Bruce Willis is, he's not young anymore.
No.
Neeson's made a lot of turds, even though he's gotten a second win here as an action star, but that was been 10, 15 years. At least people that don't have to work in the constraints of the Hollywood system are able to slap together something that's mildly watchable, barely passable, and at least has some name recognition, because you're right. Bruce Willis is not in here a lot. Doesn't have to be the star. I kind of wish he'd look like he was into the movie more, but that's kind of how I feel like he's always been. But with all his scenes being filmed in one day, I can see it. So you're right. This is about a strong female lead who is in the wrong place, wrong time. It's pretty thin on decision making. There's not a lot of talking in it. It's pretty straightforward. The lady that plays Bruce Willis's daughter that has the house he's staying in happens to work, so she's used as a hostage at the end. It's all extremely predictable stuff. Nothing new about it, but where it's shot looks kind of nice. There's very few people in it. There's no big city stuff. Of course, we have the whole cell phone thing that you don't have to use too much. So it's straightforward video schlock, and that's not bad. It's sort of there, and it's better than half the stuff on Netflix. So relatively speaking, it's an okay film, but by our 80s action standards, it's not that good. That being said, I don't think this is going to go away, where movies are going to be made outside the United States in this format. I'm just wondering who are going to be the list of names of people that are going to take that helm away from Bruce Willis, who's 65, from Tom Cruise, who's 60, might have a few more films left in him. We've talked a little bit about Blade, and how really, to me, there's only one Blade, and that's Wesley Snipes. Anybody else, screw that. I'd rather see Wesley in the 60s than anybody redoing the role now.
Right.
I could be wrong, but not being the MCU, DC kind of guy, prove it to me. So there's a lot to be said for a movie like this, where you go for like a week, maybe tops, to a foreign country, shoot all your scenes, and they get hashed together. Same thing with Steven Seagal, and it's the Yngwie Malmsteen problem of stuff where you're good enough where you can do everything yourself, but damn it, try to work with some people that are great, that will put everything together in one big package. So, and let's produce one or two nice pieces of art before you croak. I mean, that's really what I'm hoping for, and I don't know if Bruce Willis has that left in him, or if he carries, and frankly, he doesn't have to. He's happy doing what he's doing. He's made gazillions of dollars. He's got homes everywhere. Once in a while, he'll be in like that past Shyamalan film, which is actually pretty decent, Split or whatever it was called. So he can still do it when he wants to. It's just in here, if he doesn't show up on screen a lot, well, I guess that's okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying not to hate on this movie that much, because it is passable, but there's not a lot of things out there. At least he's got name recognition, To
me, it's like I said, this is still a new movie by a director who's only directed like 2 other things before this, and they weren't really that popular. The writers, it's the first time writing for a movie,
which means cheap salaries for these guys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, this is more about. It's written more for Jamie King than it is written more than it was for like Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis is the name. You want to get a top billing stars. You're like, well, gets Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis doesn't really do much, He was an A-list celebrity back then in the 80s, and then he's kind of tapered off. I think the last thing that he was really big in was what was it? It was not The Mechanic. It was the other one with Paul Kirk. Well, what was that one? He just dead. The blue hoodie, the one he was in Chicago going around and kill people.
I forget.
But anyway, it was a big controversial movie back then.
Right.
And and he said he hasn't really done much since then. And when he's getting up in age, the fact that people still like action movies. So when they think of Bruce Willis, they think of like Die Hard, him crawling around the vents, running around doing stuff, physical stuff. And in these action stars in the 80s and the early 90s, they're not at the point where they're not doing much physical stunts anymore. They're slowing down because, well, it's kind of hard. When you get older in the age, you can't really bounce back from that stuff. And then a lot of times these are small gigs they do because they have a more cushy lifestyle because they have money. If they're smart, they saved up. So you're not going to see Bruce Willis running. You're not going to see Arnold Schwarzenegger really running around anymore. Stallone doesn't even run that much. Tom Cruise is like the exception, I guess, to that rule because he's still younger. He's in his 50s, I think.
He's almost 60.
Yeah, but he's almost 60 though. But I mean, he's not that much younger. But I mean, it's like I said, this was basically a new movie from a low budget company, and they wanted to get star power, so they brought in Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis agreed to it. He got a decent salary out of it. I'm sure Jamie King got paid well. Jamie King, who's basically coming hot off of just doing Black Summer season 2, which just dropped. Other than that, I'm not really sure what she's been doing since then. And then, like I said, you get the rest of the cast are people you've probably never even heard. I know I personally never heard of, but they probably might appear
great
in guest
opportunity
spots.
if you're a young actor though to get your SAG card and some credits and everything too, and to work on the production. And you brought up Black Summer a couple times. I did want to touch base on that. The one thing about Black Summer, we loved season 1. We loved the idea of a real time zombie apocalypse breaking out, kind of like in that whole Z Nation type situation. And it was nonstop action. It was hardcore Henry-ish the way it was filmed. Not quite that point of view necessarily, but just extended long takes. Many of them were single shots. Great scales and everything else there too. We did talk about how in Black Summer, how the way they filmed it was they were trying to get a little too cute with the artsy stuff, and while some of it was nice looking, how are we going to care about any of the certain characters? And so it falls flat with the writing, and that the action can be great, but ultimately it comes down where you want to care about the character a little bit. Even if the writing sucks, if you care about the character, that's all you want. And so with Jamie King, I will say this: we've talked about with Hunt and a few other movies, different women that they're not old, but they're not young, where they're showing themselves to be a tough, believable female role. And if it doesn't feel like it's pushed down your throat, like say, No Time to Release, the James Bond movie that's been on hold for 6 years now, how that's going and how that trailer looks absolutely awful. She does do a good job in here. I will say that. And she did do a very good job in Black Summer. Whether or not the role was Whitney and all that, we can quibble over that, but that's for Black Summer too. But ultimately we said, doesn't matter. It sucks. Don't watch it. There's nothing wrong with having something like that. And you and I have never been opposed to, a woman's in here, of course the movie's about her. It's not like that. She plays a woman that's scared. She does it well. She's dropping off the ashes of her father. She's writing a little diary. She's not sitting there taking Instagram photos and doing all this other kind of dopey shit. It's a personal thing and all that. Obviously, it's written so simply that Bruce Willis he had lost his wife to cancer, like a month earlier or something. So there's that parallel thing that you wonder if they're starting a romance, even though she's 20 years younger. Who cares? I mean, it's fine. It works. And they have what screen time they do share with each other. It's effective and it works, but it is a vehicle for Jamie Summer, and not the $6 million woman or the Bionic Woman, but I thought she stood out in here. Actually, I thought she was a bright spot, and I'm not saying Bruce Willis is horrible, but he just does his Bruce Willis gimmick. She, I'm going, okay, I could believe her if she were to star in a, let's say, more mainstream, bigger budget feature that wasn't, say, Black Summer on Netflix or something. I could see it because based on how it is, it didn't feel forced. I thought that she was effective at that.
Yeah, I said this whole movie was. I said people they see Bruce Willis on there, but they don't. Well, people don't realize, they don't look at it as like it says. Hey, look, Bruce Willis is on the left side, but Jamie King's name's first. And then most people today have probably seen trailers. If you're not looking at trailers, it's because you're just probably not on social media, because trailers are everywhere. They're pushed everywhere. You're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, even Twitter. It pops up. In the trailer, you kind of, everybody knows the whole cliche. You watch a trailer, I just watched 2 minutes it was supposed to be the trailer, but it was actually the whole entire movie. So you now know what's going on. So you know what you're getting into this when you come to this movie. But even then, I watched the trailer. I still wanted to see because you know what? I may have not liked her in Black Summer season 2. I did like her in the first one. And I know this is probably it seems like a straight to DVD movie. Like I don't think it even hit theaters. Maybe it did. It was a limited release because with COVID. I don't know what's really open for what states. Our theaters are open. So
right.
But like I said, this was any movies I watched. I've watched movies like this before, like not in this in this story mode, but I've watched the Dolph Lundgren once movie. We've seen Jean-Claude Van Damme go straight to DVD movies. You know what you're getting into when you're not seeing a movie like Blockbuster. Perfect example. You'd find tons of movies on the new release shelf. They're never in theaters, so you knew what you're getting into walking into this. You take it with a grain of salt, and sometimes you find gems that are actually good. And I thought this surprised me because I thought I was gonna hate this movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. Did not look away. A lot of times these movies, I'm looking and watching, I'm like, okay, I'm bored, and I start browsing on my phone. This is a movie where I put my phone down because I actually wanted to see what was going on, the dialogue and stuff. I wanted to see the fight scenes. Is this gonna? I mean, I don't know if this could go like horror, like Descent level. Where she just horror, where she's just, people are bleeding, people losing limbs, stabbing, and spoiler. The cop in here, the female cop, gets stabbed in the leg with a big old Bowie knife. Oh my gosh! I was like, oh, I popped for that. I was like, yes.
I'll tell you the scene that I popped the most in here. I actually chuckled out loud. I thought it was funny. Is she's beautiful. She's, I think, like I said, the wife of the guy that's the producer, of this. She's the Vanderpump Rules or whatever. I don't know her, but she played, like I say, that Southern redneckish type of white trash cop, and she bled out, right? So she died, and so the guy, the evil sheriff, was like, "You got to take her back, and we'll make it right." And I'm gonna go after the guy. So Tweedledum cop's carrying her, the buffoon that liked her when they were like in grade school or something, and so she's there dead, and he's going down that one little game trail or whatever, and right there at the intersection, the good girl Jamie King sees them and runs right past them literally, and he goes to chase after, so he just drops the body, and you see the female cop drop and roll 10 feet on one thing. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I like that.
I mean, I did like that. I did like the fact that the cops, they're both hesitant to kind of kill. Like, the female cop didn't know, was easier to kill the drug runner, the mule runner from behind. He shot him in the back of the head. When it came to shoot this girl in the face, the hiker, she couldn't do it. She kind of showed nerve because, and you find out this female cop also has a little boy at home too. So I mean, she's not completely this ruthlessly evil. She's not like she showed remorse. She couldn't do it, so they got
mom alert.
And then you see the other cop. I think his name's Tom, is what his name is in the movie, or I can't remember, Tyler or something. Tom. I think Tom. He plays Hank's brother, and the first thing I knew this was going to be a really far-fetched movie is when they showed him, because he's a deputy. They showed him inside the office. He's got a little rat tail. He's got his hair up in a bun behind it. So first of all, that's not copy regulations. But if you're saying this is a redneck small town, maybe they have you only have 3 cops, and nobody cares because your town is 100 people. The rest is all this wildest, wilderness and stuff. Then I could see, maybe they're relaxed on stuff. But there's a scene in there where because the female cops, Billie Jean is her name in the movie. Billie Jean, she got stabbed. She's wounded. She needs to get to the hospital. And Hank shows up. He's like, "Told you not to call me." He's like, "Well, Billie Jean, she's all messed up.
She is a bloody mess.
I need to get her to the hospital." He's like,
"Yes,
she knew what she was signing up for. We don't have time for that stuff. She's gonna die anyway. What's the difference? Go kill her." So and then the dude's like, he find out early in the movie he kind of had a crush on Billie Jean, but she kind of turned him down and stuff. And he has to go and he unties the knot, in the leg. So she had the, tourniquet. And she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "No, don't worry." He's like, "You'll be fine." And she just bleeds out there, and he's just after that he immediately throws up.
That was actually a decent scene,
I was like, dang. I was like, because for how much of a hard ass he was for her telling him to shoot, you find
Yeah,
out that
some,
he's much of a coward as well.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I thought that was really realistic because otherwise it'd been like, I thought that was kind of cool, but interesting. But
Did you know that Billie Jean was not my lover? She was just the girl that said I was the one, but the kid she had, being a single mom, was not my son.
did you know that you just aged yourself horribly?
I don't care. Johnny's breaking out the Passenger 57, so I'm laughing at that nonstop because that is an action movie. Yeah, my final thoughts here are to be passable thriller, not an action movie.
No.
Low budget. Sometimes we're in a mood for all that because we don't want all the spectacle. We want the natural locations. We don't want 50 million characters. We have to watch all these developments. We want something that just streams along, kind of simple, plain. Even if you know what's going to happen, watching it unfold, the joy is in the watching it unfold. The women are decent looking or whatever. The lady puts on a strong performance as a lead character. Bruce Willis is adequate enough for what he's supposed to be in there. And granted, the man's 55. He has that one look that he's made hundreds of millions of dollars on. And so he knows what cashes the checks and he brings it. So all in all, there's worse ways. Like I say, you could watch The Meg, or you could watch Wonder Woman, or you could watch Space Jam 2. Movies are infinitely worse than this one here. So to me, it's passable. It's there. I know that some people were telling me that it's around $25. I want to say this for Space Jam 2 to rent, something like that, in the mid-20s, I guess. I'm not quite sure the pricing because I don't do that. This one's available for video on demand for, I want to say, around $7. Definitely get more value out of something like this. Get your money's worth if that matters to you. I know some people want to be early adopters and check things out, but with the catalog Bruce Willis has, it's nice that you can go, oh, I don't know about this one. Let me pop it on and check it out, and go, oh, that was okay for what it is too. Not everything can be awesome, but as long as there's a lot of okay stuff in the middle, sometimes that's not a bad place to be, and that's where I would put this one.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say this movie is actually you're renting it for $6 or $6.99. So look, you're bringing like $7, and change tax.
Amazon Prime, I believe, is where
Amazon
I saw it.
Prime. I watched it on Vudu. It's also available on Apple TV and Google Plays. Movies and TV. For people who know those, they don't have that. You can also get it on YouTube. I don't really know anybody who watches stuff on YouTube as far as movies, unless they're free. But it's on there. First, I guess I'm not sure if it's included for people who have the YouTube Red.
Red, I think. Yep.
Maybe it's included or maybe it's additional. I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that. But like you said, this is you're basically what you'd see like in a Netflix movie or anything else, or right on the wall, at those your local video places, your movie gallery, your Blockbuster, Planet Video, and I enjoyed it, and I know they advertise Bruce Willis on there, but see, the rational part side of me knows that Bruce Willis is not going to be like running around going crazy. Like it's not. You're not going to get like Stallone and Rambo. You're not going to get that physical stuff because why? Because they're in their 60s.
I hear you.
So when I see Expendables, I'm thinking like, oh. But you know what? Like I said, this is a thriller. This is about a hiker who's trying to survive. She witnessed a murder. A cliche thing, but you know what? It still sucks me in because it's a good plot. And then if you do it well, it's a good story. I agree with you, Rob. This isn't a great movie, but it's not a horrible,
low information movie. Let's just call it that.
This is a movie you can turn on. Like you said, you know what you're walking into, and you can enjoy it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there you go, guys. Out of Death, starring Bruce Willis, Jamie King, and a few other B-level people too. Check it out. It's up for rent right now too, or don't. Who cares? Let us know. We'll be glad to review that or other trash or something else that you think is good too here on the Extreme Movie Show. Until Tuesday night, live for RDB and everybody involved here at the Extreme Movie Show. Stay safe. And as always, have a good night and stay extreme. Stay out of death, RDB.
Stay out of the woods.